I want to discuss how do you make a roadmap if you want to go abroad and work, right? So two options are there. One is you start from the beginning of one way is that you start preparing from your second year in law school, okay, and you want to go the PPO, sorry, the vacation scheme way. That is one option, and that road is the best one to start with, but it may be unpredictable. We don't know when it will work, when it won't. Like in 2011, 2010, 11, what used to happen was three or four UK law firms used to come to three NLUs specifically, or four NLUs. They would come to NLS, Nalsar, NUJS, NLU Jodhpur. Then they started to tweak this. They started having students from more NLUs, and they even went out to non-NLUs and they said, okay, we'll have all our interviews in this college. It could be an NLU where they'll have an interviews, or they'll have in a hotel. Okay, they will take a room and they will like a conference room where they will have all these interview processes. And everybody else from all over India will be asked to fly down there for the interview process. Like Herbert Smith did a centralized recruitment in the year when I was there. So we had come from Calcutta to Delhi and stayed in Delhi. Okay, so you may be asked to so that can be a way, okay, in your fourth year. Now for that you will have to prepare from the second year onwards, and I'll tell you what worked for me and where what didn't work for me, because of which I couldn't clear the interviews. Okay, but so two options. One is starting right early on from your second year, or even thinking from the first year in college that this is where I want to go. But the second one is relocating after securing work experience. And this option has been used by many law graduates. Many young lawyers have done that. Okay. And this is still a viable option. And you can work after securing work experience. It's far easier to work in a lot more jurisdictions. UK, US, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai. People have relocated to all of these places. Okay. Now, what are the additional aspects to think of? One aspect is visa requirements, right? So every country has different visa requirements. In the US or in the UK, you will need, for example, you'll need your recruiter to sponsor your visa application, right? And so your student visa is different from the work visa. So you may get a student visa to pursue the LLM, but when you are looking at a job at that time, you have a limited time over there to get that job, so that you have somebody to sponsor your visa application so that it can get approved every time. Also, it's not necessary that your visa application which is sponsored is approved. So that is a little bit of, there is a little bit of uncertainty there. But the bigger uncertainty is that, once you do your LLM, then how do you get the visa? If you're getting a visa directly, because you did a training contract or because you did a vacation scheme, and then for the training contract, you are liaising with the firm on for your visa, then that is perfect. That's not a problem, because you don't have any cost that you will lose, right? Because you're in India. So you don't stand to lose anything. Worst case, you don't get the visa. If there's an exceptional situation, usually doesn't happen. So you would get the visa also. But if you don't, then you're not posted in UK. You've not spent a ton of money over there, and you don't have to worry to buy time to apply over there. So that is the safest way where visa issues are there. Okay. So getting an offer when you're here is always very advantageous than having to look for you visas over there, work visa when you're there. If you're there also, one thing that will help you is that getting offers earlier, so that the visa process and all of that can be started. If you don't have an offer, you can't even apply. Like, who will sponsor your visa application, right? But if you have an offer, it'll help. So if you're going to do a 1 year LLM over there, you will need to ensure that you start being very active in creating your track record, in creating your network, so that when people are considering you for hiring, then you stand a better chance than you would otherwise. Because the degree alone, the name of the institute alone, is not often sufficient to get you a job. This many people will tell you on abroad. Okay, if you talk to people who've been working in big law firms abroad, they will tell you that you're just having your college degree is not sufficient. So you will need to start your networking, finding out firms, finding out opportunities over there. What are the most important qualifying exams in the UK? So I explained that there is QLTS, which is sufficient for Indian lawyers to give, the easiest one also. But there's a longer one called GDL, Graduate Diploma in Law, and a legal practice course. Some law firms, despite the fact that you've done law in India, may require you to do the whole GDL plus LPC. Like my senior had got a training contract with Slaughter and May. Okay, Slaughter and May is a very, very highly profitable firm, but a smaller firm and very known for the kind of niche work, high value work it does. Okay, so they would have like the highest profits per equity partner, and that actually tells you about the profitability of a law firm. So he had got a Slaughter and May training contract. They required him to do GDL and LPC both. Okay, in US the qualifying exam is different. It is there are 2 or 3 bar exams that are very famous: the New York bar exam, the multi-state bar exam, the California bar exam. People usually try to qualify in one of these to get hired. Do previous marks